So, Matt and Matt, take it away.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, standing ovation.
If you can edit that so that comes right at the end when we're done talking, then it looks like we gave a great presentation. Thanks everybody for coming out. Looking forward to talking with all of you today and having a discussion about human-centered design. So we're Spark Consulting Group. Our first official month anniversary is tomorrow, so we're excited and we appreciate the support. Online you can find us at inspiredbyspark.com. So again, thank you for joining us, Matt and Matt. We also make it easy for you. If you say Matt, somebody will respond.
So I'm Matt Weingarten. I've been in the product development space for a little over 15 years, focusing on agile methodologies, user research, user experience.
And Matt Arnold. I have about 20 years of brand strategy and human-centered design experience. Did my undergrad here a long time ago, but started doing coursework at the Information Arcade, which was starting to really blend early technology and learning. Did my master's at Illinois State. My research there focused on computer-augmented group decision-making, and then did work in early web. I am certified as a usability analyst from Human Factors and as an experience analyst from Human Factors, and also certification through Pragmatic Marketing, and have been trained at the Illinois Institute of Technology's Design Institute. All of that to say you're in good hands. So we're Spark, Spark Consulting Group, strategy and innovation agency that combines design thinking, lean startup principles in helping organizations reduce risk, drive growth, and maximize their potential. And we really do this through research and insights. So out of curiosity, show of hands, no wrong answers. Who's familiar with design thinking? Is this new idea? Understand? Okay, we got some folks, so we'll step through kind of quickly and answer some of these questions. All right, the biggest thing that Spark does is we help drive accuracy and alignment. So on the accuracy side is really, we find that companies today are confusing precision with accuracy. They think they understand the market, understand their customers, and sometimes things go dark as they rely on technology rather than human relationships. So one of the things that we focus on is helping companies really understand product market fit, market opportunities through human-centered design. Who are the people that they're trying to serve? What are their deep needs and goals? And then how do they help align their organizations to basically best serve those people and best serve their business through human-centered design? So our industry experience, we have experience in higher ed, in management consulting, in precision agriculture, in healthcare, and in this case, implantable devices, video gaming, and software development. So these are all spaces that we have applied design thinking and human-centered design. All right. And here's a list of a few companies that we've done work for and we've been able to apply human-centered design. So what we believe is that in today's competitive world, successful companies are the ones that can continuously integrate customer insights into their products and services. However, there's a gap, and this has been illustrated in Forrester's CX Index. That's an annual report they put out on kind of the state of the industry. Their index for 2019 is seeing stagnation in companies being able to monetize or take advantage of customer experience. The biggest gap is companies continue to think they know what their customers want rather than really knowing what their customers want and need. So one of the things that Spark does is we help close that gap. We help companies better understand the deep needs and goals of their customers and then help them align on best ways to serve that. So also when we talk to companies, sometimes we'll hear something sexy like innovative. We want a more innovative company and we want to avoid disruption. And so right there, we're checking all of the startup and hot economy buzzwords. Buzzword bingo is going well. We want to avoid disruption, want to have better products, want to act more like a startup. And one of those, do you really? Because in large organizations, do you really know what that means? So I want to give credit to Janice Fraser on Twitter at CleverGirl for the idea for this story. Does anybody know who this awesome baby is? Any guesses? That was baby Simone Biles. We think of Simone Biles like this, lots of awards. I think many companies think about innovation and what they want. They want this Simone Biles, but they have trouble putting up with this version of Simone Biles. So some of what we do is help companies with the care and feeding that's needed for good ideas. Let's say that we provide a spark of clarity or inspiration to start to get the foundation ready so companies can deliver on their superpowers and their promises. So landscape and trends. See that organizations are struggling to compete in the experience age. We have moved out of the information age. It's not enough just to have information on your customers. What you need to do is really understand the experiences that you're delivering. This is from Forrester, this quote around kind of stability in a complex and changing world. The wheel of change is turning fast. Over the next 5 to 10 years, customer experience will become the through line that keeps brand purpose and customer relationships stable amid unprecedented upheaval. So what we're trying to do is help companies take advantage of design thinking, ways that they can apply human-centered design to their organizations. This is a report put out by Forrester on what IBM is doing. IBM is working on scaling design. They have transformed their organization. A few years ago, I believe it was 32 engineers to 1 designer in the organization. They're trying to change that ratio to 8 engineers per designer. So they're bringing more designers on board, and the real business results about human-centered design is that IBM has seen a 300% return on investment in their CX dollars, and they're getting products to market twice as fast. Those are the things that can happen when you embrace human-centered design. Understand your customers, help the people inside your organization better understand customers, and learn how to deliver value against those goals of your customers and users. So Spark approach, focus on human-centered design. Really, that's how do we make this work for the humans in the system? You can think about human-centered design as designing for business strategies, designing for improvements in innovation, designing for organizational outcomes, but really we're trying to look at a whole ecosystem. How does this work in a complex and complicated world? How do we help drive understanding and alignment? We do that through design. We look at brand experience, and one of the big things we try to do is focus on small experiments or the smallest experiment. What's the smallest thing that we can do to better understand our next steps, better understand our customers, rather than try to sell large-scale transformation initiatives up front that usually stall out for human reasons. And the biggest thing that we do is work to deliver insights to organizations. So what's an insight? An insight is really new information that causes us to behave differently. So if it's not new information, it's not an insight. And even if it is new information, it doesn't change behavior, it's not an insight. So what we're trying to do is provide new information about the humans that are served by an organization that will change behavior for the better. So this is the area that we focus. As I said, customer understanding. What are the deep needs and goals of your customers? What are your organizational superpowers? What are you good at? What are you best at? And then an overall brand experience. So that's not just digital, it's not just paper, it's not in person, but an omni-channel approach to trying to understand how you create and capture value. Really, how do you make a brand promise and how do you keep a brand promise? And then aligning that, what's most important to your customer? Where are their moments of truth? And then when you're able to understand what's most important to them, you can prioritize your business around that. And that will help you with alignment, that will help with budgeting, that will help with priorities. And then you can align around the customer rather than having very expensive opinion debates internally about who's right. My wife, who is a professor at in the College of Ed, one of the things she likes to say periodically is, sounds like a question for research rather than a debate. We end up doing a lot of debate internally in organizations, and we can do quick experiments to really do research and better understand our customers and stop expensive opinion debates internally. So from a design perspective, folks might be familiar with the double diamond. The double diamond is really right problem, right solution. We focus on trying to understand what is the real problem and how do we frame it. So that's the most important thing for us, is understand the problem first, and then why the diamond shape. It's really that you're going divergent, using divergent thinking and exploring early, and then you come back together with convergent thinking to get to a single definition of what is this problem, what can we test against, and then we deliver the right solution. There's a quote attributed to Einstein, but it might be one of those things, never believe everything you read on the internet, by Abraham Lincoln. That was a good quote. But the one attributed to Einstein is that if he had an hour to solve a very complicated problem, or his life depended on it, he would spend 55 minutes on trying to understand the problem and 5 minutes on the solution. So through our history, we've seen lots of organizations get in trouble because they think they know the solution right away. They don't spend time framing the problem so that people understand it. What they do is they jump to solution, and then they usually implement things that fail to meet customer expectations, which is proven out in Forrester's research. So we apply kind of this diamond divergent convergent thinking across a general design process. So ours is challenge, discover, design, develop, deliver. So there's a method to the madness. This is a lot more cleaner than the design process feels when you're in it. But the challenge is really, what's the problem or opportunity space? And then when we get to discover, that is really doing the research, getting the insights, because when we come out of that, we're going to frame those insights so that then we can start to prototype and design and then develop, deliver. And when you do one thing, it might inform, you might need to step back. So sometimes you think the problem is X, but when you actually go talk to customers, you realize it's not a problem of X, it's a problem of Y. So how might we reframe that? Another thing why human-centered design is so important, this Peter Drucker, a quote attributed to Drucker, is culture eats strategy for breakfast. So even when we're trying to do some of our best thinking and we have clear targets, we still have to work with the teams involved. One of the things that Spark does is help with team dynamics. Today's work requires lots of cross-functional teams to deliver results, but we are rarely taught how to work in teams, how to lead teams, and how to be good participants in teams. So one of the things that we'll work on is teams, our philosophy. These are humans and human systems, so what makes it complicated and fun. So we work to maximize that system. That requires teams to change, people to change. We work on optimizing for system outcomes. So another thing that we focus on are outcomes that provides enough direction, but also flexibility. Sometimes a lot of solutions are too prescriptive in today's complicated and complex world to deliver good results. So we help teams understand more of the outcomes that we're looking for. We really try to dig in on the why. Understand the why. This is, we deliver through research and insights. Why are people doing these things? Why is this important? Rather than the what and how, those are easily observable, but if we get to the why, that's more important. Then we focus on goals and needs. We focus on what we call goal-based design. Goal-based design is somebody trying to accomplish something in a particular context. So do we know who we're doing this for? Do we know what they're trying to accomplish? And do we know what's important about that context in which this is being delivered? A really important thing about goal-based design is that goals remain stable design targets. Customers' expectations continue to change and evolve. They change and evolve from every experience they have elsewhere. But if you understand what they're really trying to accomplish and you can focus on those goals, you're in a much better business position to meet your customers where they're at, rather than seeming tone deaf in your brand delivery. And then again, one of the big things for us too is don't confuse accuracy with precision. This is one of the downsides. There's so many good things about quantitative data, where data science is going, but there's also a lot of bad algorithms that have misunderstanding and bias built in, so you can scale and automate your misunderstanding pretty quickly now. Make sure that you have accurate targets and you know what you're supposed to be measuring, rather than running around with spreadsheets showing how many cells of data you have to the 100th decimal. Let's make sure we have the right targets first before we spend a lot of time with kind of data science theater. So the areas that we focus on in helping companies are coaching and consultation, education training, and professional services. So if you're looking to reduce risk, improve product market fit, and drive alignment, let's talk. So thanks. Any questions, or anybody want to continue the conversation?
So your expertise is not one industry specific. What's your actual, what are you giving, what's your product? I understand all the philosophies, but what do you, if a company comes to you, what do you do for them? You're not going to design their systems. Is it a consultative approach, or what are you giving?
Yeah, it is. It's consultative. It's also driving clarity on helping them understand what the targets and opportunities are.
But does that mean they're sitting down with you and they give you problems and you guys go home and do your calculations and go back and say, this is a possible solution? I don't quite understand how you're interacting.
So a lot of times with engagement, we'll be brought in because somebody knows something isn't working right. Right? They're getting lots of customer complaints about something, and they'll want to dig in. And we'll sit down with organizations. We'll dig into, all right, what data are you already sitting on? Because most companies are already sitting on more customer data than they believe that they have. So we help them see already what are they hearing, what are the customers saying. We help them understand what the customer journey is, and then where are the friction points in that journey. And then we'll go do research, some of the small experiments, for example, doing prototyping. So is this a new product that they're trying to, like, you don't want it to fall flat on its face? So we'll do kind of build to think prototyping. Are we even thinking about this the right way? Or build to decide. We'll have higher fidelity prototypes that we'll build so that you can get customer reaction and you can get their thinking and their mental models in relation to something before you commit to more expensive solutions. So a lot of the design work is really kind of iterative process in chipping away at kind of the innovation cycle is first desirability. Is this even something the market wants? Because you can figure that out before you start doing more expensive things. And then you can get a little bit more refined and do feasibility. Okay, can we even do this? And then ultimately viability, right? Does the business model make sense?
Right, but are you directing that conversation? Because
we're directing the conversation, we're setting up the research, we're showing teams how to do research, how to get to insights, and then for us, sometimes it might be more of a, almost like an outfitter model. So sometimes they might come to us and just say, we're gonna go on this type of expedition. We'll just show, okay, let's talk about the terrain and show you how the equipment works. And sometimes they might want more of a guide, and we'll go with them to help their teams get to deeper learning so that they can really start to bring these insights and domain knowledge internal. Did that?
yeah, no,
Great questions, thank you, I appreciate that.
Example is good.
Yeah. Sorry.
First off, excellent job jumping between screens as everything around you went crazy. Way to stay on track to go through it. What is the purpose of this presentation for you? Are you looking for insights on the presentation? Are you looking at where your purchasing market? Option C?
All the above. No, but I think most importantly, I think Steve, to Steve's question too, is what we're dealing with is not readily understood or easy to talk about. And we're looking for better ways to drive clarity on what we do and what we deliver. So we try to focus on saying that we drive business effectiveness, and the most pragmatic way to get there is through customer insights. But still, what does that really mean, right? And so one of the things we're working on is how do we make sure that we can explain this so that it is dead simple that they get it, but not so simple that it sounds like we're a bumper sticker. And then the other is always looking for work with organizations that need help on really interesting, challenging problems.
So going along with that feedback that you're asking for, can you tell us about your favorite case study, right? Something that either you've experienced in doing Spark or something you've experienced before that aligns with what you guys do. Your favorite case study, what was the solution, all that kind of stuff.
So we worked with an agricultural company, and we were originally brought in for a UI design. And then once we actually dug into what the core problem was, we found that talking to users and doing more analysis, that it wasn't just a coat of paint that needed to be done. It was really they didn't understand what the system was all about or how to use it. So year over year, when it's operational things for ag, you don't necessarily remember, because I only do this one time a year. So it wasn't intuitive, it wasn't easy to understand. So after we dug into really what is the core need, not just a coat of paint, it was we need to reform the entire system from the ground up.
Follow-up question to that. So do you we're talking about consultants, this might go back to what Steve's question is, do you guys sit down with the team and consult to direct them how to do the work in doing that research? Or do you guys originally, first step, you guys do it and then come back?
I can give you the consulting answer.
Yeah.
It depends. So, yeah, but no, really, like trying to dig into that context. Do they understand the problem? Because one of the hard parts with complex organizations and large organizations is a lot of times by the time you actually get a project funded, it had to have a clear definition, and that clear definition is usually inside out, problematically. And so sometimes it's hard because you're going to go out and then you're going to actually start to do the real work, and you're going to find out that the way we kind of formulated or looked at this process, or the hypotheses, it was off. And so then we have to have some interesting conversations, and some of those involve like organizational governance, right? Is this an addendum to a large project? So what we try to do is, how can we frame this quickly and even confirm that this is the right problem early before trying to do a big project? So sometimes that is just talking with some internal stakeholders and working with them on quick internal ways, on data that they might even be sitting on, or even doing some really quick qualitative directional work with some customers or potential customers. Anything to?
I think kind of going back to the product piece, we've had organizations that have just asked, we want to understand more about design thinking, so we do a workshop with them. And then once we start to talk about experimentation and how do you create those small prototypes or those testable items, then there's opportunity for more information. Sometimes it's going out and doing user research and bringing it back and saying, here's the perspective of your customers and your users, here's what they really need. So it depends.
Are you familiar with the book Sprint?
Yeah, that's
Sprint?
what I was gonna ask.
Okay.
Models.
Yeah, so there's many powerful things to that, but that also really implies that you have a pretty good idea on the problem, because you're not, on Monday morning, you're not going to get it defined from scratch. But on the human side of things, one of the things that we've found is even just that first day of getting stakeholders together, that's the really powerful piece. It's almost like the idea that plans are worthless, planning is invaluable. Sometimes just getting the stakeholders from different parts of the organization to share their perspectives, and then being able to really start to triangulate on what the problem might be, or teasing out some of the complexity. And that's some of the things we'll do early to help them try to confirm kind of the challenge or problem opportunity space.
So my suggestion, kind of to follow up with Yasmin, is saying, I know you guys are pretty early on in your company right now, but if you could kind of create like a case study portfolio of different work that you've done. I think for me, I struggle just like understanding the whole concept, but if I can understand like this was the problem with this company and this is what we did to get to that solution, I think people would understand that a lot more. Like, oh, you can do a lot of different things. It really just depends on like the problem and solution, you know.
Cool.
Yeah, I just understand things a little bit better in that way, especially when it's a little bit more complicated.
Yep, thank you.
I was gonna say the closing that, like, that storytelling, so that if I'm a potential customer, I can start to put those pieces together. Oh, that's how you help them. I can be thinking about what my problem is, and then I know how to make it better. And even if you make up a few stories.
Yep.
Of how it goes.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And that is one of the challenges too, is in some work that we've done under NDA.
Yeah.
And how do you talk, especially in a public venue that's being recorded too. There's a couple stories that we could share here if we weren't being recorded that I'd feel more comfortable talking about. But points well taken. It is, I mean, and what you're saying is aligns with some of the things that we talk about with our customers is people understand a complex world through stories and sets of stories, right? That's the easiest way they remember, and so we have to eat our own dog food here and make sure that we have some of those good stories.
City literature.
Yep.
You can embellish your stories.
If we could only find a storyteller in this town to help us out.
I believe the buzzword is your avatar.
Yes.
Just make it a story avatar.
Perfect.
And adding on to that, then you can really hone in from a baseline perspective what human-centered design is and what design thinking is, right?
Yep.
Because you talk about Sprint, and had I never gone through Sprint, no, I would not know what design thinking looked like. And
Right.
when you tell the story, that might help.
Cool. Thank you.
In terms of storytellers, is a writer's workshop in town?
That was the point of my joke. If we knew if any writers in this town.
What are your customer channels right now?
Customer channels?
Acquisition channels?
Acquisition channels are primarily through our professional network, where we've partnered with people or delivered this before. So it's
So
mainly.
you have a referral basis on stories already?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's why we're a little hesitant to just put them out on general web, but yeah, it's still, we have to refine that story and even just make safe versions that we can put out there.
I think that's a great way to go, is the organic growth through the channels that you already have. I went on your website, you can't really see it there, so I didn't know, if that's your acquisition channels, then you're kind of already halfway in, so.
Yeah, I think the main thing for our website is just so that if somebody from supply manager or vendor relations just checks that we're real.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
This question's for Matt.
I only heard one T on that.
So, give me an idea of your project length time. What's the shortest project? What's the longest project? And what's your pricing model? Is it by project? Is it by person?
Yeah, so I mean, the smallest project could be a workshop or training that might be a half day or full day. The longest one could be long-term engagements, whether it's augmentation of staff or long-term consultancy and coaching projects. We've done up to 8 years with clients before. And then for pricing model, we like to work from a fixed, if we can. But if there's kind of one-off types of things, then it can be potentially hourly as well.
Just to add to that, one of the things what we do, one of the reasons we try to keep this small is I've been on the management consulting side delivering in the past. I've also been on the buying side of services, and so one of the things that we're trying to do is keep things small enough so that they're easy to buy and also easy to exit. That there are clear points on did this project meet its goals, and so within that, the desire though is mostly to do fixed price, but still, some suppliers do require more of an hourly rate or rate card to play along.
So you mentioned that depending on the project, the amount of labor you guys do could depend. You could be doing all the research, all the presenting, or it could be cut in half, whatever. Is it just you two doing all the work? And if so, what are your plans of growth?
Yeah, right now it's just us, and we feel that is a bonus for client companies. So frankly, growing up in management consulting in an Accenture world, usually, or McKinsey, where something's usually sold by a partner and then delivered by junior consultants who have trouble following a playbook and don't know when they can deviate or audible because they don't have contact, they don't have history. So one of the things is when a company is working with us, they're working with people with 20 years of experience doing this. So that's our belief. As far as growth, slow, steady growth to make sure that we can deliver. Also, and the reason for that is I think too many companies get excited about growth and you just have to grow and nobody knows why they're growing, but they just have this panic like we need to keep growing. So we're not gonna, we just don't subscribe to that. That's just part of our philosophy, and we could be completely wrong. When you see us panhandling out on the street later, you'll know that we took the wrong growth strategy.
But scaling in different ways.
Yeah.
You say it that way.
But one of the things that we do, because of our network and companies that we've worked with, one of the things before we launched our company was starting to work with what we're calling a confederation of trusted partners. So there's organizations that other design companies that we've worked with in the past in innovation studios where we have complementary services. So if we need to bring somebody in as a subcontractor to us or if we serve as a sub to them, that's kind of the way that we're looking at this, because I've seen a lot of companies get in trouble on the consulting side with trying to manage the bench and pay for real estate back at the home office. Early in my career, I was judged on if I maintained a 60% or greater margin on my projects. Most of that 60% was to pay for downtown office real estate. And so what we're trying to do is make sure that we're slow, steady growth and kind of eating our own dog food on the experimentation stuff. What are the smallest things we can do to start? So that's kind of our philosophy on growth. But I'm curious on your thoughts on that.
My only thoughts, you kind of answered it with the contracting thing you brought up, but I was just thinking, you finish one project, you move on to the next. I assume you handle most of your projects kind of one at a time for the most part, but there's some
Yep.
overlap, but all of a sudden, somebody calls back,
Right.
hey, we have problems, how do you, with just two of you, balance two projects possibly at the same time, a third, getting
Yep.
overwhelming in a hurry.
Yeah, that's right. And I know one of the other things too is one of the downsides of being small is getting through supplier vendor management for some larger organizations, right? And so some of those we may have to come in as subcontracts to more design or kind of marketing agencies.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Great question. Other questions? Oh.
What kind of connections within like your clients' companies are you looking for? Like, do you usually work with the supply chain people or like the president or sales? I don't know.
Yeah, so usually where it's probably easiest for these problems to be felt or for folks to see where we can help are usually product space generally, and more product dev than product management, but product development and product management. As organizations are bringing on some type of innovation, office innovation work, and also one of the things that is more companies are also trying to bring in user experience and experience design. Jared Spool, I don't know if his numbers are right, but he's an expert in the field and says that there are about 80,000 unfilled UX positions. And so there's design work that some organizations know they need, and they're trying to get help, but this is where we might do staff aug or actually help them because we've built design teams before, even really what to look for in designers. But as far as our immediate services, it's really going to probably come in through innovation, product space, and maybe brand management if they do have brand or brand strategy. And I know, Mark, you shared with me one time, what we're selling is kind of abstract, and sometimes companies aren't designed to buy this, but what they do know how to buy is training. And so sometimes that's what we can do is go in and help them with design thinking, with ways to conduct user research, qualitative research, mixed methods, and get to results. Thanks for the question. I thought there was another one. Yes.
What's your ideal target customer? Do you usually work with very large companies, small to medium startups, and which is easiest to incorporate design thinking into their own?
Yeah, it's an interesting challenge because sometimes the bigger companies may have a better understanding that they need it or may have budgeted for it. I mean, we'd argue that any company should see this as an investment, right? Is like kind of like the numbers that we saw for IBM, right? Is that kind of a 300% return on design work. But I think for us is that we are looking to more mid-sized companies that know they need this help but feel they can't afford like a McKinsey or an Accenture. So that's general target, but we can help startups, and this is where we've also looked at how do we bring communities together, where then maybe a community of startups that we can help them on the design side as a pooled resource. Other questions?
Every organization has high performers, mid performers, and low performers. Are you focusing on making the mid higher, the high higher, or bringing the low up, or what are you calling it?
That's a really good question. My immediate response is I don't care about the low. That's going to be somebody else. It's just too much of a slog,
There you go.
right? And so either helping the mid get better or the good to great, kind of stealing a book title there. But what we're trying to do is also by keeping these things small, where I've seen innovation and customer experience initiatives fail, and a lot of times those are this is going to be transformational. Somebody at the C-suite will be the executive sponsor. They'll make a declaration, but they really don't know what to do to support it other than just say they support it. And then the message to everybody else is we're supposed to do this new thing, and what seems to be implied to all the humans inside the system is you're dumb, and you weren't doing the right thing to begin with. So one of the things we're trying to do is how do we help a company understand their superpowers? What are they really good at? So what opportunities exist there? And then finding smaller pockets where you can basically set up a beachhead to demonstrate value rather than, especially trying to get slow people to move fast. I haven't seen anything in my life other than like a a fire or free pizza makes slow people move fast. So I'd focus on the mid to highs. And sorry to the fire and pizza crowd out there. Any other questions?
Well, I'm just gonna say, if there's no more questions, I'll ask the final question. What can we do as a 1 Million Cups community to support you and your company?
Continue to give us feedback on how we can whittle this down for those that may not understand the CX UX design thinking space. That's huge for us. And then introduce us to people that need help within the design thinking UX CX space because we want to help.
Yeah, I just if you hear of people in your organization or within your network that are struggling with, we have this complex problem and we don't know where to start, please think about Spark Consulting, because one of the things that we're going to do is we help people drive through that messy front end, and we help make sense of some really complicated stuff and help on alignment and accuracy. So if you're hearing of things that feel complicated and complex, give us a call. Thank you.
Let's get another